Hello and welcome to the help video for box plots, the online exercise in 3 levels. So first of all, what is a box plot? Well, let's have a look at these ants. And these ants have been hard at work all day collecting tiny little pieces of leaves. Now, they were asked to go and stand by the number on the number line that represented the number of pieces of leaves that they'd collected that day. And we can see that there is one ant that hasn't collected any pieces of leaves at all. He's had a bit of an ant headache, so he hasn't been out doing his work today. So we're going to call him the outlier, because he's not with the rest of the ants further up the number line. He's sort of the exception to the rule, if you like. So we're going to call him the outlier. Then of the other ants, can you see that this one has collected 29 pieces of leaf? So he has collected the maximum number of all the ants in the group. And this one here has collected the minimum. Now, if we actually got them to all stand in a straight line, with the ant who collected the least on the left and the ant who collected the most on the right, the ant that would be exactly in the middle would be one of these guys here. And there would be 5 ants to the left of that ant and 5 to the right. So of those 5 to the left, the middle of that group is called the lower quartile, and it would be one of these guys. And then of the 5 ants to the right of the median, the middle one of those guys would be called the upper quartile. So that's a way of describing the different ants, and actually we can put this information into a diagram. What we do first is draw a line to represent the range from the minimum to the maximum. And we have the minimum on the left, the maximum on the right, and then we draw a box to represent the distance between the 2 quartiles. And finally, we put a line on that box to represent where the median is. So that basically is your box plot. Sometimes you can put a little dot to show the outlier, to show how far it is away from the other data items, but not always necessary. So there is our box plot. If we move it up towards the number line, you can read off various pieces of information about the data that we've collected, and it could be collected about anything. And between the minimum and the maximum is called the range, and between the 2 quartiles is called the interquartile range. So, for level 1 of the online exercise, your job is to take the labels, drag them onto the diagram to annotate it. Not all of the labels are needed. Let's see if you can do that. Good luck. So now we're on level 2 of the box plots online exercise. And here we're given some box plots that have been created. The first one is the number of minutes patients spent in a dentist waiting room. What is the median time in minutes? Well, because you now know the parts of the box plot, you know the median is that line in the center. And I can see that it is representing 14 minutes as the median waiting time there. Second question. This one shows the number of minutes passengers spent in an airport departure lounge. What is the minimum number of minutes? Well, the minimum is represented by the end of this line here, and I can see that that represents 28 minutes. So 28 is the answer. Don't forget to press the check button regularly as you work through the exercise to see if you're getting the questions right. Okay, this is the time spent commuting. What is the maximum commute? Maximum is this end of the line. It's in between 75. It's actually 76 minutes. So type that in, 76. This time we're looking for the lower quartile. That's on the left, so that must be 13. And in this one we're looking for the upper quartile. That's this side of the box. So that, looking at the scale there, must be 22 marks earned by those girls. Okay, a very long box plot here. This is the number of minutes passengers spent in a station waiting room, and it's asking for the range. So the range is the difference between the minimum and the maximum. So the maximum is 69. The minimum is 29, so subtract 29 from 69 and you will get 40. So the answer to question 6 is 40 minutes. Question number 7 is the number of minutes passengers spent in a different station waiting room, and this time it's the interquartile range. So you subtract the lower quartile, 31, from the upper quartile, 57, and that will give you 26 minutes as the interquartile range. Number 8. This box plot shows the lengths of leaves in centimeters. Express the minimum length as a percentage of the maximum length. Well, the minimum length is 10. The maximum length is 50. So 10 out of 50, or 1/5, is the same as 20%. So the answer is 20. Number 9. This box plot shows the length in inches of fish recorded in a very large database. What percentage of the fish were longer than 60 inches? Well, 60 looks like it was the median. So that was the middle fish. And because it was a very large number of fish in the database, so we can say that 50% of the fish are longer than 60 inches. And finally, question 10. This box plot shows the length in millimeters of worms recorded in a very large database. So if the database is very large, we can assume that each section of the box plot represents 25% of the data. So we want to know the percentage of the worms that were less than 91 millimeters long. Well, 91 looks like it's the upper quartile. So the worms that were less than 91 would be these 3 sections of the box plot here, which represent 75% of the data. And we've got 10 out of 10. We can click on this red button and claim our trophy. And now we're on level 3 of the box plots online exercise. And in this case, what you have to do is drag these handles from the left in order to draw the box plots on the screen. They sort of unfold like this. So first of all, we'll deal with the rightmost part of the diagram, which represents the maximum. In the question, I can see that the maximum is 24 minutes. So I'm going to start off by dragging that to 24. Then the next portion would represent the upper quartile, and I can see that the upper quartile is 23 minutes from the question information. And then the median, where is the median? The median time is 13 minutes, so that goes about there. The lower quartile is 7 minutes, that goes about there. And the minimum is 5 minutes, which is right there. So there is my box plot. Click on the check button. A little tick appears to the right. Yes, it looks like we're okay there. Okay, question number 2. The following is a list of times in minutes spent on social media by members of a chess team. So what we need to do is drag the circles just as before to create the box plot. So let's start off with the maximum. Can you see that the biggest number there is 69? So let's drag this all the way across to 69 as close as we can. So let's write down the numbers in order. I've got 28, then 40, then 45, then 55, then 62, 66, and 69. Right, so we have 7 numbers altogether. So it's quite clear to see that the middle number is 55, so that must be the median. And then what's left? Well, once we've chosen median, we've now got 2 groups of 3 numbers. So it's the middle one of those groups that are the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So we can now say that the upper quartile is 66. So let's move that up to 66. The median is 55, which is right there. The lower quartile is 40. And the minimum is 28. Right about there. Let's check we got it right. Yes, a little tick has appeared. We must have got something right. Okay then, let's look at question 3. These are the lengths in meters of a tortoise's daily walks. Right, so we have to create a box plot of this data. So the first thing we need to do is write down this data in order. So the data has been collected for 11 days. We have 11 numbers here. So what number would be the middle one for the median? Well, if you've got 11 items, the trick is to add 1 and then divide by 2 to find the number of the middle item. If you're not sure why that works, try it with a smaller number of items. Let's say 3 items. You know the answer is going to be 2. 2 is the middle item. So obviously if you halved 3, you'd get 1.5, which is the wrong answer. You have to add on 1 to the 3 to get 4 and then halve it to get 2. So anyway, that's the little trick. We need to add on 1 to the number of items, then divide by 2 to find out which number item is the middle item. So it's the 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It must be 67. So now I can see that we have chosen the 6th item. There are 5 items to the left and 5 items to the right of our median. So it looks like the lower quartile is going to be right in the middle of that group, which is 59, and the upper quartile is going to be right in the middle of that group, which is 92. So it looks like the answer is maximum 103, which is way out here. Then 92 for the upper quartile. Then 67 for the median. Then 59 for the lower quartile. And 37 for the minimum. Let's just check we got that right. Yes, we did. Okay, let's move on. That's the tortoise done. This is the number of times 15 people check their email accounts in one day. So again, what we have to do is first of all write the data in order, then choose the middle one to find the median. Then once the data has been divided into 2 groups, we can find the upper quartile and the lower quartile. Right, question number 5. This time we have a stem and leaf diagram showing the number of times that 19 people said Happy New Year on the 1st of January 2020. So, just so that you understand what a stem and leaf diagram is, the number on the left of the line is the tens and the numbers on the right represent the ones. So, for example, we can say that the minimum was 12. 1 10 and 2 ones makes 12. And the biggest number is the 4 and the 3 to make 43. So the maximum is 43 and the minimum is 12. Right, how about the median? Well, there were 19 people. So if we add 1 to 19 and divide by 2, we get 10. So it's the 10th person when they're all standing in order. So let's go through them until we get to the 10th person. That's the first person, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7th, 8th, 9th. There they are, the 10th person. So I've just circled the median, which represents 27. And then once we've got the group split into two, there are 9 people less than 27 and there are 9 people more than 27. So for the lower quartile, we'll take those 9 people and the middle person will be the 5th person. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the lower quartile. And then starting from the top, counting backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the upper quartile, 36. So now we can go to our diagram. And we know that the maximum is 43. Then the upper quartile is 36. Then 27 for the median. 19 for the lower quartile. And 12 for the minimum. Let's check that. Yes, we've got that right. Okay, this is very similar. Stem and leaf diagram, same idea. Right, question 7. We have data presented in a frequency table. So let's have a look. It looks like the maximum class size here is the number right at the bottom, 35. So let's go straight in and go up to 35 there. Then we need to find the median next. Well, there are 27 classes. So the median is going to be 27 plus 1 is 28, divided by 2 is 14. It's going to be the 14th. So in the first category, there are 6 classes. Then there are 3 in the second category. That makes 9 altogether in those 2 categories. 1 more there makes 10. And then 3 more makes 13. So it's when we get into this area that we get to the median. So the median must be 25. Because if all of those classes were lined up in order, that's where the 14th one would be. And we did that by doing the cumulative frequency as we went down the table. So we have split the data into 2 now. We've got 25 right in the middle. And that was the 14th. So there are 13 classes to the left and 13 classes to the right. So halfway through those 13 would be the 7th class. And I can see that the 7th class wouldn't be, starting from the beginning, wouldn't be with these 6, it would be with the 22. So the 22 must be the lower quartile. And then counting up 7 classes from the top, 1 plus 2 is 3, 4, 5, 6, right down here in 28. So the upper quartile is 28. So we can now plot the upper quartile, 28. Then 25 was the median. 22 was the lower quartile. And the minimum was 21. And it looks like we've got that right. So here we are, question 9. Some instructional videos shows the running time as a cumulative frequency diagram. So you can see the times on the axis down here. 30 is right over there at the right hand end of our graph, so that must have been the longest or the maximum running time, and we're told that the shortest video lasts only 3 minutes. So this is where we get the information for the minimum. Right, well, we can quite simply read the other values that we need from looking at the vertical axis. 28 altogether, so half of that is 14, so just around this area is the median. And then 3/4 of the way up, you can read off the graph what the upper quartile will be, and 1/4 of the way up is what the lower quartile will be. So looking at the graph, I think we have got 30 as the maximum, 20 as the upper quartile, 15 as the median, 11 as the lower quartile, and we're told in the question that the minimum was 3. Let's see if that's right. Yes, it is. Okay, now it's your turn to have a go at the online exercise. Don't forget to press the check button regularly as you're working through the questions to see if you're getting them right. And if you make a mistake, have another think and correct your answer and then press that check button again. Don't forget to claim your trophy when you've got to the end. And there are lots more activities on the Transom website for you to have a go at to improve your mathematics, and you can claim hundreds of trophies. So, what are you waiting for? Get going. Bye.
You can find Transom Mathematics at www.transom.org, where you're welcome to use all of the activities absolutely free, or jump in with both feet and become a Transom subscriber.